Hello again, beautiful readers, and welcome back to another reading in the rainstorm video. In today's video, we have a collection of 4 scary stories to chill your bones. If you enjoy our content, please take a moment to like this video and subscribe to our channel, as it really does help us grow. Thank you for your support, and enjoy the stories. Haunted Hollow. On the eve of Halloween, a group of adventurous friends decided to embark on a spooky night walk in the woods. Excitement filled the air as they gathered around a bonfire, exchanging ghost stories and daring each other to venture deeper into the haunted forest. The woods were shrouded in an eerie mist, and the trees seemed to whisper ancient secrets. Despite the chilling atmosphere, the friends laughed and teased, brushing off the legends of the Haunted Hollow as mere tales told to scare children. As they ventured deeper into the woods, the once familiar trail became unfamiliar and twisted, leading them further away from the safety of the bonfire's glow. The moon cast haunting shadows, and the distant sound of wolves' howls sent shivers down their spines. Natalie, the most daring of the group, took the lead, clutching a dimly lit lantern. They followed her bravado, unaware of the unsettling energy that seemed to permeate the air. Strange noises echoed through the trees, like whispers that beckoned them to turn back. The path grew narrower, and the dense foliage enveloped them, creating an almost claustrophobic feeling. The friends exchanged nervous glances, their laughter fading into uncertainty. But the excitement of the Halloween adventure kept them going, urging them to press on. Suddenly, the lantern flickered and sputtered, casting long, eerie shadows that danced ominously on the trees. Natalie tried to rekindle it, but the flame refused to hold steady. "We should turn back," one of the friends suggested, unease creeping into their voice. "Nonsense. It's just a little Halloween prank," Natalie declared, her voice quivering only slightly. As they continued, a chilling wind swept through the woods, carrying with it an otherworldly moan. The group huddled closer together, their footsteps echoing loudly in the eerie silence. Then, they heard it, the sound of distant laughter, a child's laughter. It was followed by a soft singing that seemed to come from all around them. The friends exchanged worried glances, unsure of whether it was a part of the spooky atmosphere or something more sinister. "Did you hear that?" Jenna whispered, her voice trembling. Before anyone could respond, the singing grew louder, and the laughter intensified. Panic gripped the group as they struggled to find the source of the haunting sounds. "We need to get out of here," Mark urged, his bravado replaced by genuine fear. But as they turned to retreat, the path they had followed seemed to have disappeared. The once familiar trees now stood like menacing sentinels, their branches reaching out like gnarled fingers, blocking their escape. Panic turned to terror as the haunting sounds grew closer, surrounding them on all sides. Shadows moved among the trees, twisting and contorting as if they had a life of their own. Natalie's lantern flickered once more, and then the flame extinguished completely, plunging them into darkness. The child's laughter seemed to be right beside them now, and a cold hand brushed against Jenna's shoulder. With hearts pounding, the friends huddled together, fear consuming them. They couldn't see what was lurking in the shadows, but they could feel its malevolence, a presence that seemed to feed on their terror. Just as they thought they were trapped in the haunted hollow forever, a sudden burst of light illuminated the woods. A figure stood before them, dressed in an ethereal white gown. Her eyes glowed with an otherworldly radiance, and a sense of calm washed over the friends. "It's okay now. You are safe," the figure said, her voice both soothing and haunting. The friends followed the ethereal figure as she led them out of the dark woods, back to the bonfire's glow. As they emerged, they looked back to see the haunted hollow vanishing into the night, the sounds of laughter and singing fading away. The figure turned to them one last time, her eyes filled with a mix of sadness and compassion. "Remember, the woods come alive on Halloween. It's a night when the spirits roam free. Be careful where you tread, for some legends are far more real than you can imagine." With those words, the figure vanished into the darkness, leaving the friends with a lingering sense of wonder and fear. From that night on, They never spoke of the haunted hollow again. But they could never forget the chilling truth. That Halloween was a night when the boundaries between the living and the dead were blurred, and the scare walk in the woods had been far more real than they had ever anticipated. The Phantom Brother. In a quaint, old house nestled at the end of a quiet street, lived a young girl named Emily. She had a vivid imagination and loved spending her days exploring the world of books and fairy tales. One night, as the clock struck midnight, Emily was jolted awake by an unsettling feeling. She couldn't quite place what had awoken her, but something felt amiss. In the dim glow of her nightlight, Emily noticed a figure sitting on the edge of her little brother's bed, which was across the room. Confused, she rubbed her eyes, thinking she must be dreaming. But the figure remained, its form becoming more distinct as her eyes adjusted to the darkness. To her astonishment, the figure was a young boy, seemingly the same age as her, with tousled brown hair and sad, haunting eyes. He turned to face Emily, and she gasped in shock. It was as if she was looking at her own reflection, but in the form of a boy. "Who are you?" Emily asked, her voice trembling. "I'm your brother," the boy replied, his voice soft and melancholic. "You forgot about me, didn't you?" Emily's heart pounded in her chest, and she was certain she was dreaming. She had no siblings. She was an only child. But the boy's presence felt real, his words resonating deeply within her. "I don't have a brother," she managed to say, trying to convince herself that this was all just a product of her imagination. The boy's sad eyes grew sadder, and he whispered, "But you did, once. You used to play together, laugh together, until that fateful day when I disappeared." Emily's mind raced, trying to make sense of the situation. She had no memory of a brother, yet the boy's words stirred something deep within her, a feeling of loss and grief she couldn't explain. As she continued to converse with the boy, memories began to surface, faint glimpses of a past she had somehow forgotten. She recalled laughter in the backyard, games of hide and seek, and a bond that had been lost in the mists of time. Tears filled Emily's eyes as the realization dawned on her. The boy was her younger brother, a sibling she had once loved dearly but had somehow vanished from her life, leaving behind only a void in her heart. "I'm so sorry," Emily whispered, overcome with emotions she couldn't comprehend. "I don't know how I forgot you, but I remember now." The boy's ghostly form seemed to flicker, and a faint smile graced his lips. "It's not your fault, Emily. Sometimes memories fade, but I'm still here, waiting for you to remember." As the night wore on, Emily and the boy talked, sharing stories of their past, piecing together the fragments of a bond that had been lost to time. The more they spoke, the more vivid Emily's memories became, until she could see her brother's face in her mind as clearly as her own. With each passing moment, Emily's room felt less like a place of fear and more like a sanctuary of reconnection. The boy's presence was no longer eerie, it was comforting, like a long-lost friend returning home. As dawn approached, the boy's form began to fade, and Emily knew that their time together was coming to an end. "Will you come back?" she asked, her voice filled with hope. "I'll always be with you, in your heart and in your memories," he replied, his voice soft and ethereal. "You'll never be alone." With those words, the boy vanished into thin air, leaving Emily alone in her room. But she was no longer afraid. Instead, she felt a sense of peace and closure, as if a missing piece of her life had finally been found. From that day on, Emily cherished the memories of her younger brother, honoring him by keeping him alive in her heart. Their bond had transcended time and space, proving that even in the face of forgotten pasts, love and connection could endure. The house on the quiet street became a place of warmth and nostalgia, filled not just with Emily's imagination but with the real presence of a brother she had once lost but had now found. And every night, as the clock struck midnight, Emily knew that her phantom brother would visit her again, bringing with him a reminder of the enduring power of love and the precious nature of memories. Devil's Last Call. In the heart of a sleepy town, a dimly lit bar called the Inferno stood as a haven for the lost and the lonely. Bartender Jake had seen it all, from heartbroken souls drowning their sorrows to raucous laughter that echoed through the night. But one fateful evening, as the clock struck midnight, he encountered a patron like no other. The last call had been made, and the bar was empty, except for a mysterious figure seated at the far end. A chill ran down Jake's spine as he approached the lone patron, his face obscured by shadows. "Closing time, sir," Jake announced, trying to mask the tremor in his voice. The figure turned, revealing piercing red eyes that seemed to burn with an otherworldly fire. A wicked grin curled across his lips, sending shivers through Jake's entire being. "I'll have one more," the man said, his voice a low rumble that seemed to reverberate within the walls. Swallowing his fear, Jake poured a drink for the enigmatic figure, his hands trembling as he handed it over. The devil himself had walked into his bar. "Thanks," the devil said, raising the glass in a mock toast. "To temptation and the foolishness of mortals." As the devil took a sip, the air in the bar grew thick with malevolence. The lights flickered, and the temperature dropped, creating an aura of darkness that seemed to seep into the very soul of the bar. Jake's heart pounded as he dared to speak, his voice barely above a whisper. "What brings you here?" The devil chuckled, his amusement sending a chill through the bartender's spine. "I've come to collect a debt, one that's long overdue." Fear mingled with curiosity as Jake gazed at the devil, wondering what sort of deal had been struck with this malevolent being. He had heard tales of souls selling their very essence to the devil for fame, fortune, and power. The devil seemed to read Jake's thoughts, his eyes narrowing as he leaned in, his presence overwhelming. "You humans are so predictable. Always seeking more, never satisfied with what you have. And when you make a deal with the devil, you must be prepared to pay the price." Terror gripped Jake's heart, and he felt a desperate urge to run, to escape the clutches of the devil. But he knew there was no escaping fate, especially when it involved the Prince of Darkness himself. "What do you want?" Jake asked, his voice trembling with dread. The devil's grin widened, revealing razor-sharp teeth. "Your soul, of course. It's time for you to pay up." As the realization sank in, Jake's mind raced, desperately searching for a way out. But the devil was relentless, taunting him with tales of the eternal torment that awaited those who crossed him. Time seemed to stand still as the devil's malevolence engulfed the bar, leaving Jake feeling trapped in a nightmarish abyss. Just as hope seemed lost, a soft voice whispered in Jake's ear, urging him to resist. It was the voice of his grandmother, who had always warned him about the devil's tricks. Summoning all his courage, Jake looked the devil in the eye and said, "I won't give in to you. My soul is not yours to take." The devil's grin faltered, replaced by a look of surprise and frustration. He had encountered defiant souls before, but there was something about Jake's resolve that unnerved him. In that moment, the bar's atmosphere shifted, and a bright light engulfed the space, forcing the devil to recoil. The voice of Jake's grandmother grew stronger, enveloping him in warmth and protection. With a final, furious glare, the devil vanished, leaving the bar in silence once more. Jake collapsed onto a stool, his heart pounding, but he knew he had won this battle, at least for now. As the first rays of dawn broke through the windows, Jake knew that he would forever be changed by this encounter. He had faced the devil and emerged with his soul intact. From that day on, the Inferno became a place of reverence and caution for Jake, a reminder of the darkness that lurked in the shadows and the strength of the human spirit to resist temptation. And whenever he served last call, he would never forget the night he stared into the eyes of the devil himself and triumphed over the forces of malevolence. The darkness unleashed. It started like any ordinary day, with the world bustling with the hum of technology and the comfort of modern life. But when the clock struck midnight, chaos descended upon the earth. The planet was swallowed by an unprecedented darkness as all technology abruptly ceased to function. Power grids failed, screens went blank, and the world was plunged into a planet-wide blackout. At first, people were bewildered, believing it to be a temporary glitch that would soon be resolved. But the hours turned into days, and the darkness remained. Panic spread like wildfire as the realization sank in, the world as they knew it had come to an end. In the midst of the darkness, fear and uncertainty held sway. Communication was crippled, and communities were isolated, cut off from the outside world. As the days turned into weeks, resources dwindled, and desperation began to take hold. In the darkness, shadows seemed to come alive, taking on sinister shapes and haunting whispers that sent shivers down spines. People spoke of eerie apparitions roaming the streets and mysterious figures lurking just beyond the edge of visibility. Survival became the primary goal as people struggled to adapt to the harsh reality of their new world. In the absence of technology, primal instincts resurfaced, and society devolved into a struggle for survival. In the rural countryside, isolated from the chaos of urban centers, a small group of survivors sought refuge in an old farmhouse. Among them was Anna, a young woman with a sharp mind and a fearless spirit. She had once relied on technology for everything, but now she embraced her newfound connection to the natural world. As the days passed, the darkness seemed to intensify, as if it was a living force consuming the remnants of civilization. The group huddled together, seeking comfort and strength in each other's presence, as they faced the horrors that lurked just outside their sanctuary. One night, as they sat around a flickering fire, the group heard strange noises echoing through the darkness. Whispers carried on the wind, chilling them to the core. Anna felt a sense of dread gnawing at her, but she pushed the fear aside, determined to protect her newfound family. The whispers grew louder, taking on an ominous, guttural tone. Anna knew they couldn't stay hidden forever, that they had to face whatever was out there. Gathering her courage, she ventured outside, her heart pounding in her chest. The darkness enveloped her, making her feel like a mere speck in the vast void. Yet, she pushed forward, driven by an unexplainable force. In the distance, she saw a faint, flickering light. Drawn to it, she followed the ethereal glow until she reached a decrepit church hidden among the shadows. The whispers seemed to emanate from within its crumbling walls. Cautiously, Anna stepped inside, her footsteps echoing through the silence. The flickering light led her to the altar, where a strange symbol was etched onto the floor, a circle surrounded by cryptic markings. As Anna studied the symbol, she felt a presence behind her. She turned to see a figure cloaked in darkness, a being of malevolence and chaos. It was as if the darkness itself had taken form, and she could feel its malevolent gaze piercing through her. "You are the key," the figure rasped, its voice echoing in her mind. "The world belongs to darkness now." Fear and anger surged within Anna. She refused to accept defeat, to bow down to the darkness that sought to consume everything she held dear. With a surge of willpower, Anna channeled her inner strength, resisting the malevolent force. She reached deep within herself, embracing the primal instincts that had awakened in this new world. In a blinding flash of light, the symbol on the altar glowed, illuminating the darkness around them. The figure recoiled, weakened by Anna's defiance. With every ounce of strength she could muster, Anna pushed back the darkness, and the figure retreated into the shadows, vanishing as if it had never existed. As the light faded, the darkness retreated, and Anna emerged from the church, triumphant but forever changed. She knew that the battle against the darkness was far from over, but she had found her purpose, to protect the light that still flickered in the hearts of humanity. In the days that followed, Anna and her group of survivors became beacons of hope, traveling from place to place, spreading light and resistance against the malevolent darkness. The world may have suffered a planet-wide blackout, but in the hearts of those who refused to surrender, the flames of hope burned bright. In the darkness, new stories of survival and courage emerged, reminding humanity that even in the bleakest of times, the human spirit would endure and triumph over the unknown horrors that lurked within the shadows. Well folks, that's it for today. Let us know your thoughts about today's stories in the comments section below, and if you have a prompt you would like us to use to write a future story for the channel. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Thank you again for your support, and we'll see you next time. Happy reading!